not-so-very fairy tale. Pricelessly precious.
Through the briar wood and past the hickory hollow lived a girl named Agatha. She and her mother lived alone in a quaint little cottage nestled in a meadow of lovely wildflowers. They were a quiet pair, uninfluenced by fancy things. As a matter of fact, the only piece of jewelry in the house was a gem Agatha's mother hardly ever wore. They lived a happy life, baking pies and living in the peaceful solitude of the meadow. Growing up in the meadow, Agatha learned all the names of the flowers and the bugs and the plants surrounding their cottage. Her mother would often watch Agatha at play, and her inquisitive nature warmed her heart. She cherished her daughter so dearly that every morning she picked fresh flowers for her and set them at her bedside.
Good morning, my priceless precious.
She made Agatha fancy clothes and brushed her hair and added rose petals to her bath to keep her skin soft and radiant. Such flawless porcelain skin she had. You could say Agatha's mother treated her like royalty. And how did Agatha feel about this royal treatment? At first, Agatha cherished her mother's love and attention and found it delighting. The garden behind the cottage was a product of their combined efforts of love and nurturing. Agatha's mother would often say,
Of all the flowers in our garden, you are the dearest and loveliest of all, my priceless precious.
Eventually, Agatha began taking her mother's love for granted. As the years went on, Agatha began wondering about life beyond the hickory hollow. She asked her mother of civilization beyond the briar wood. Her mother answered her with a slice of pie and an adoring smile.
Don't you worry about such things, my priceless precious. Now eat your pie before it gets cold, and I will draw you a bath.
Agatha eyed her mother's crooked, bent back coldly as she hobbled to the bath.
Wretched old thing. I'm not your prisoner.
It wasn't fair. Agatha knew there were schools and people and friends to be had outside the meadow. Her mother had insisted on homeschooling because she felt the schools were unfit for such a flower, such a beauty, such a prisoner, forever priceless, forever precious. Agatha's eyes narrowed. The old bat wanted to keep a hold on her. Did her mother think she would run away, never to return if she got a taste of the outside world? Other girls her age were surely not as comely as she. Agatha desired to be seen and desired by the young, handsome boys in town. Her mother would never let her venture out into the unknown. Jealous old fart. How ridiculous, living vicariously through her, enriching a thing of beauty to forget her broken, ugly, pathetic existence. The more she thought about it, the more she knew what had to be done. After her bath, Agatha crawled into her bed, and her mother came and kissed her good night.
Sweet dreams, my priceless precious.
Horrid old hag.
Agatha whispered, and pretended to go to sleep. She waited. Soon her mother would fill the night air with grunts and snores of a faraway dreamland. Agatha slipped quietly out of bed and into her boots. With one last look over her shoulder, Agatha pulled on her hood and scampered off into the night. Before long, Agatha heard beautiful music coming from nearby. Following the music, she made her way out of the wood and eventually found herself in front of a lovely mansion. She could hear laughter and cheers and sounds of good food and drink being had. She started forward and looked at her plain clothes. She should have worn one of her mother's handmade dresses. Agatha stayed put as a gleaming white carriage came to a stop. The door opened and the most lovely woman she had ever seen stepped from the carriage. Surely she was some princess from a faraway land. Her eyes were deep and cool, her lips soft and supple. The fancy dress was studded with gems and lace, and around her neck hung the most beautiful gem of all. A handsome young gentleman caught the lovely lady's hand and led her into the assembly. her dress sparkling radiantly in the moonlight. Agatha had seen enough. She was running full speed back to the meadow now. She had to get her mother's finest handmade dress. She was going to attend the next party. Didn't she deserve it? Her mother believed she was a marvel of a creature. The rose-petal baths, brushing her lovely hair. Yes, Agatha more than deserved to be seen and appreciated. She had a right to be. She quietly made her way into the house and crawled quietly back into her bed. Castles and riches and faraway lands and handsome princes filled her pretty little head as she embraced a deep, warm slumber.
Good morning, my priceless precious.
Agatha woke up to her mother's toothy grin.
Forever priceless, forever precious.
Mother, I wish to take leave of this place and find my fortune in town.
Her mother was taken aback.
But my priceless precious, why so ever would you wish to leave me? Your dear old mum. Everything you need is right here. I prepare and perform whatever is needed.
Agatha folded her arms and glared at her mother.
I want the most beautiful dress you've ever made. And I want the stone you should be wearing around your neck, but keep locked away. I have friends to make and handsome boys that wish to court me. I am not your prisoner. I have walked this earth 16 years, and I am wise enough to handle my own affairs, mind you.
Oh, indeed. 16 years flew by so quickly. You have said your piece, no matter how true or how rude. You will spend the rest of the day in your room as punishment, during which I will make you the most beautiful dress these hands have ever created.
Her mother eyed her sadly, then turned to leave. Agatha clapped happily. A punishment? She could take 100 punishments for the dress she was going to get and the adventure she was going to have. A small part of her felt sour for giving her mother such grief, but her mother said it herself. She was pricelessly precious. And well, it was about time she started being treated that way. Agatha daydreamed as the clock ticked on, the day running out of light. She was nodding off when her mother called her from the garden.
Agatha!
One last glass of lemonade in the garden? Fine by her. She scurried out to the garden and stood there, dumbfounded. Her mother had dug up the beautiful garden, dirt all over her from head to toe.
Your dress.
She pointed, and Agatha saw hanging on a nearby branch the dress, even more fantastic and dazzling than the one she had seen the princess wearing. Although the dirt covered her mother, Agatha could see her mother was wearing the fancy gem around her neck, the one she never wore. What a send-off! Beautiful dress, the lovely gem, but what was with the digging out the garden? And where was the lemonade?
Forever priceless, forever precious. Dearie, come to me.
Agatha stepped over to her mother. The old bat was going to make a production out of this. Why couldn't she hurry this along?
I must thank you, my priceless precious. The good doctor that sold me this gem said the price of immortality is living a wretched half-life. Replenish me, forever priceless, forever precious. You make me forever.
Her mother grabbed her face as the gem glowed around her neck. Agatha failed to manage a scream as her mother's eyes went white and a hot glowing rose in her own throat. Agatha's eyes burned with a hot white light. Then she collapsed into darkness. Her mother tossed her body into the hole she dug in the garden. She started filling the hole, more efficiently this time. She was stronger, faster, younger. She cleaned herself up and put the dress on, smiling as she stared at the flawless porcelain face in the mirror.
You make me forever,
my priceless precious, my adoring public, awaits.
She removed the glowing gem from her neck and returned it to its box for another 16 years. She gazed in the mirror a moment longer and then slipped out into the night.